in Japan, nearly 80% of adults maintain a healthy weight throughout their entire lives. In America, that number is less than 30%. How do millions of Japanese people stay slim year after year without counting calories, skipping meals, or following the latest diet trend? It starts with something they pack almost every single day. Something that fits neatly into a small box and follows rules that are centuries old. And it's not about eating less, it's about eating differently. This simple practice shapes how Japanese children learn about food, how families connect at mealtimes, and how an entire culture thinks about balance and portion. The humble bento box isn't just a container. It's a philosophy that quietly teaches restraint, variety, and satisfaction with every meal. In this video, we'll unpack the principles behind bento culture, from ancient traditions to modern science, and show you how these same habits can fit into your daily life for lasting health, steady energy, and genuine enjoyment of food. Chapter 1. The Bento Box Philosophy. Let's start with what a bento box actually is. At its simplest, it's a compartmentalized container designed to hold a complete, balanced meal. But in Japanese culture, it represents something far deeper. A centuries-old approach to eating that prioritizes harmony, moderation, and visual appeal. The word bento dates back to the 12th century, originally describing convenient portable meals. Over time, these packed lunches evolved into an art form, guided by principles of balance and beauty. Traditional bento boxes follow specific ratios. Typically, half the box contains rice or grains, 1/4 holds protein, and the remaining quarter includes vegetables and pickled items. This isn't arbitrary. It reflects nutritional wisdom passed down through generations. What makes bento remarkable isn't just what goes inside, but the mindset behind it. Every bento, whether packed by a parent for a child or assembled in a convenience store, embodies the concept of ichiju esai, one soup, one side, extended into portable form. The box itself becomes a teacher, showing through its compartments that a satisfying meal doesn't require abundance, it requires balance. This approach stands in sharp contrast to American lunch culture, where meals often center on a single oversized item. A large sandwich, a big burrito, or an ample serving of pasta. The bento box, by design, makes overconsumption difficult. Its physical structure encourages variety and naturally limits portion size, and research shows that when we see appropriate portions as complete and beautiful, we feel satisfied with less. Next up, how the bento box uses ancient wisdom to prevent the overeating trap. Chapter 2. The 3-to-1 ratio. One of bento culture's most powerful secrets lies in its proportions. Traditional Japanese bento boxes follow what's called the 3-to-1 ratio, sometimes expressed as 4-to-3-to-1. Rice or grains make up about 40% of the box. Protein comprises 30%. Vegetables fill 20%, and pickled or fermented items round out the final 10%. This ratio isn't a modern invention. It emerged from centuries of observation about what keeps people energized and healthy throughout the day. Rice provides sustained energy through complex carbohydrates. Protein from fish, eggs, or tofu builds and maintains muscle. Vegetables deliver fiber, vitamins, and minerals. And those small pickled portions, they aid digestion and add flavor complexity that makes the entire meal more satisfying. The brilliance is in the diversity. American lunches often deliver one dominant flavor and texture. Think of a turkey sandwich, where bread is the overwhelming component. A bento box delivers multiple tastes and textures in every meal. Your palate stays engaged. You experience sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami often within a single lunch. This variety triggers satisfaction signals in your brain more effectively than repetitive flavors can. Scientists have studied this phenomenon. When we eat the same flavor repeatedly, we experience what's called sensory-specific satiety. Our pleasure diminishes with each bite. But when we alternate between different tastes and textures, each component stays appealing. The bento box exploits this brilliantly. You're not eating one thing until you're stuffed. You're sampling several things until you're satisfied. If you're finding these insights useful, consider subscribing. We explore simple, powerful habits like these every week. Coming up, why the size of the container matters as much as what's inside. Chapter 3. Portion Control Through Design. Japanese bento boxes average about 600 to 900 milliliters in volume, roughly 2.5 to 4 cups. That's significantly smaller than a typical American lunch plate or takeout container. But here's what's remarkable. Japanese people don't feel deprived by these portions. They feel satisfied. The secret lies in a concept called portion-appropriate eating. Western diet culture often frames portion control as restriction, eating less than you want. Japanese bento culture frames it as sufficiency, eating exactly what you need. The distinction matters psychologically. When you see a container filled to the brim with beautiful, varied food, Your mind registers completion and abundance, even though the total volume is moderate. Research from Cornell University's Food and Brand Lab found that people consistently eat more when given larger containers, regardless of hunger levels. We tend to finish what's in front of us. The bento box uses this tendency to advantage. By providing a smaller, completely filled container, it satisfies our desire for completion while naturally limiting intake. There's also the visual factor. Japanese bento culture emphasizes careful arrangement. Food is placed thoughtfully, with attention to color, contrast, and visual appeal. Empty space is minimized. This presentation tricks the eye into perceiving more food than is actually present. Studies show that when meals look abundant and beautiful, we feel more satisfied with appropriate portions. Compare this to American portion sizes, which have grown dramatically over the past 40 years. A standard dinner plate expanded from 9 inches in the 1960s to 12 inches today. Restaurant portions doubled or tripled. We've gradually normalized overconsumption by expanding our containers. The bento box does the opposite. It keeps portions constant across generations, serving as a physical reminder of what enough actually looks like. And this isn't about deprivation, it's about relearning satisfaction. Chapter 4. The Art of Umami Balance. Walk into any Japanese kitchen and you'll notice something missing from many American pantries, an abundance of refined sugar and heavy sauces. Instead, you'll find ingredients rich in natural umami. That savory, deeply satisfying fifth taste that makes food feel complete without excess salt, sugar, or fat. In traditional bento boxes, umami comes from multiple sources. Dashi, the fundamental Japanese stock made from kombu seaweed and bonito flakes, provides a flavor foundation. Fermented seasonings like miso and soy sauce add depth. Dried shiitake mushrooms, tomatoes, and aged ingredients contribute additional umami layers. Even the rice, when properly prepared, carries its own subtle savory notes. This matters for weight management in ways most people don't realize. Umami activates specific receptors on your tongue that signal satiation to your brain. Foods high in umami trigger feelings of fullness more effectively than foods high in simple sugars or salt alone. When your bento includes umami-rich items, a small piece of grilled mackerel, a few cubes of simmered tofu, or vegetables cooked in dashi, you feel genuinely satisfied despite eating moderate portions. American lunches often rely on simpler flavor profiles dominated by sugar, salt, and fat. These flavors are immediately gratifying but less sustaining. They trigger short-term pleasure without the deeper satisfaction that umami provides. You might finish a sweet sandwich and sugary drink feeling full in your stomach, but somehow unsatisfied in your mind, leading to afternoon snacking. A properly balanced bento leaves you feeling complete. Japanese chefs understand that umami is the difference between eating until you're full and eating until you're satisfied. They're not the same thing. Next up, how temperature variety keeps your palate engaged. Chapter 5. Temperature contrasts. Here's something you might not have considered about lunch. Temperature variety. Traditional Japanese bento boxes deliberately include foods at different temperatures. Room temperature rice, cold pickled vegetables, and items meant to be eaten, neither hot nor cold. This isn't accidental, it's strategic. Temperature affects how we experience food. Hot foods tend to fill us quickly but can be eaten mindlessly. Ice-cold foods can numb the palate. Room temperature foods, however, allow us to fully taste every element. They encourage slower, more mindful eating because we're more aware of textures and flavors. Most bento boxes are prepared in the morning and eaten at midday, meaning the components naturally reach room temperature by lunchtime. Far from being a limitation, this became a feature of bento design. Japanese cooks learned to select ingredients that taste excellent at room temperature. Properly seasoned rice, marinated vegetables, eggs cooked with careful seasoning, fish prepared with flavor that doesn't require heat to shine. This contrasts sharply with American lunch expectations, where hot food is often considered essential for satisfaction. We've trained ourselves to associate temperature with freshness and quality, but research on sensory perception shows that temperature variety within a single meal actually enhances overall enjoyment. Your mouth and brain stay more engaged when experiencing different thermal sensations. There's also a practical benefit. Food at room temperature is easier to pace yourself with. You're not racing to eat while it's hot. You're not waiting for it to cool. You can eat deliberately, savoring each bite, which naturally slows your eating speed and improves digestion. So far, proportions, presentation, umami, temperature. Next, the specific foods that make bento work. Chapter 6. Rice as the foundation. In virtually every traditional bento box, rice occupies the largest single section. But this isn't just any rice. It's carefully prepared short-grain Japanese rice, often lightly seasoned with rice vinegar or simply salted, that serves as the meal's foundation. Rice in Japanese culture functions differently than bread does in American culture. While bread is often a vehicle for other flavors, a delivery system for sandwich fillings, Rice is meant to be appreciated for its own subtle taste and texture while complementing other elements. The Japanese concept of gohan doesn't just mean rice. It means meal itself. Rice is that central. From a nutritional standpoint, the Japanese approach to rice offers several advantages. Short-grain white rice, while often criticized in Western diet culture, provides easily digestible carbohydrates that deliver steady energy without the blood sugar spikes associated with many processed breads. The key is portion size and what accompanies it. In a bento, rice never appears alone. It's always balanced with protein and vegetables that moderate its glycemic impact. There's also the satiation factor. Rice, particularly when slightly cooled, develops resistant starch, a type of carbohydrate that acts more like fiber in your digestive system. This resistant starch feeds beneficial gut bacteria and creates a feeling of fullness that lasts longer than simple starches. The bento box, eaten at room temperature hours after preparation, maximizes this benefit naturally. Compare this to American sandwiches built on bread that's often loaded with added sugars and processed ingredients. 2 slices of standard white bread can contain as much sugar as a cookie. The rice in a bento box contains none. It's pure grain, water, and maybe a touch of seasoning. Nothing more, and this simplicity is exactly the point. Chapter 7. Protein in small, satisfying portions. Open a traditional bento box, and you'll typically find protein portions that seem small by American standards. Perhaps 2 ounces of grilled salmon, a rolled omelet the size of your thumb, or a few pieces of carefully prepared chicken. Yet these modest servings consistently satisfy in ways that larger American protein portions often don't. The secret lies in preparation and quality over quantity. In bento culture, proteins are seasoned thoughtfully, often marinated or cooked with ingredients that enhance their natural umami. A small piece of mackerel grilled with just salt delivers intense flavor and satisfaction. Tamagoyaki, the slightly sweet rolled omelet, combines eggs with dashi and mirin to create complex taste in just a few bites. These preparations make small portions feel substantial. Japanese home cooks understand that protein is important but shouldn't dominate a meal. The traditional view emphasizes fish over meat, with portion size for sustained energy rather than maximum fullness. This aligns remarkably well with modern nutritional science, which suggests that most adults need about 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal for optimal muscle maintenance, exactly what these bento portions provide. American lunch culture often centers on oversized protein servings. A typical deli sandwich might contain 4 to 6 ounces of meat, and restaurant entrees routinely serve 8-ounce portions or larger. We've come to associate large protein portions with value and satisfaction. But research shows that protein intake beyond about 30 grams per meal provides diminishing returns for satiation and muscle synthesis. The excess simply converts to energy or gets stored as fat. Bento boxes teach a different lesson. Protein should satisfy, not overwhelm. When you combine modest, high-quality protein with umami-rich seasonings and balanced accompaniments, you don't need huge portions to feel complete. Coming up, how vegetables go from side dish to essential element. Chapter 8. Vegetable variety and preparation. In a Japanese bento, vegetables aren't an afterthought tossed in to meet nutritional requirements. They're carefully selected, skillfully prepared components that contribute essential flavors, textures, and visual appeal to the complete meal. You might find 5 to 7 different vegetables in a single bento, each prepared using a different technique. Spinach blanched and lightly seasoned with sesame, carrots simmered in a sweet soy-based liquid, cucumber sliced thin and pickled quickly with rice vinegar, lotus root cooked to maintain its distinctive crunch. This variety ensures that every bite offers something new. The preparation methods matter enormously. Japanese cooking recognizes that vegetables have optimal textures and that those textures contribute to meal satisfaction. Some vegetables are left slightly crisp, others become tender, some are served raw. This textural diversity keeps your mouth engaged throughout the meal, preventing the monotony that leads to mindless overeating. There's also the practical benefit of nutrient density. By including multiple vegetables in small portions rather than a large serving of one type, bento boxes deliver a broader spectrum of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. Different colored vegetables provide different antioxidants. Various preparation methods preserve or enhance different nutrients. The diversity is nutritionally strategic. American lunches typically include far fewer vegetables, if any. A standard sandwich might have 1 or 2 lettuce leaves and a tomato slice. A typical burger comes with perhaps some lettuce and pickles. We've relegated vegetables to garnish status. The bento box does the opposite. It elevates vegetables to equal importance with every other component, and when vegetables are this carefully prepared and beautifully presented, they stop feeling like something you should eat and become something you want to eat. Chapter 9. The pickle principle. Every traditional bento includes a small portion of tsukemono, Japanese pickled vegetables. This isn't decoration. It's a functional element that aids digestion, cleanses the palate, and provides crucial satisfaction cues that prevent overeating. Japanese pickles come in remarkable variety. Cucumbers pickled in rice bran, daikon radish in salt and vinegar, eggplant in miso, plums preserved with perilla leaves. What they share is the fermentation or quick pickling process that creates probiotic-rich foods. These beneficial bacteria support gut health, which research increasingly links to weight management, mood regulation, and overall well-being. But the pickle's role goes beyond nutrition. Pickled vegetables provide sharp, clean flavors that reset your palate between bites of richer foods. After a bite of fish or egg, a piece of pickled radish clears your taste buds, making the next bite of rice taste fresh again. This palate cleansing effect extends the satisfaction you get from a modest meal. There's also a practical portion control benefit. Pickles are intensely flavored in small quantities. You don't need much, just a few pieces, to feel like you've experienced something substantial. They teach your palate that powerful flavor doesn't require large volume. This is a lesson many American meals miss entirely. Western cuisine has largely abandoned pickles and fermented vegetables from everyday meals. We've lost touch with the digestive and flavor benefits they provide. The bento box preserves this ancient wisdom, including these small but mighty components in every meal as a reminder that satisfaction comes from complexity, not quantity. We've covered the what. Now let's talk about the how. Chapter 10. Visual Harmony in the 5 Colors. Traditional Japanese bento follows a principle called goshiki, meaning 5 colors: white, yellow, red, green, and black or brown. This isn't mere aesthetics. It's a practical guide to nutritional completeness that ensures visual beauty and balanced nutrition simultaneously. When a bento includes white rice, yellow egg, red tomato or carrot, green vegetables, and black sesame seeds or brown mushrooms, it automatically contains a diverse range of nutrients. Different colored foods provide different vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. By following this color rule, Japanese home cooks create nutritionally balanced meals without counting calories or calculating macronutrients. The visual appeal serves another crucial purpose. It makes appropriate portions feel special and worthy of attention. Research on eating psychology shows that when food looks beautiful and thoughtfully arranged, we eat more slowly and mindfully. We pause to appreciate what we're eating. This slower pace allows satiation signals time to reach our brains before we've overeaten. American lunch culture rarely emphasizes visual presentation. We've normalized eating from plastic containers or paper bags, consuming food that may be nutritious but rarely beautiful. We treat lunch as fuel, eaten quickly and efficiently, often while doing something else. This rushed, inattentive approach makes it easy to overeat because we're not really experiencing the food. The bento box transforms lunch into a moment of appreciation. Even though it might be eaten at a desk or in a park, the care visible in its preparation encourages mindful consumption. You notice what you're eating. You taste each component. And when you're paying attention, you naturally eat the right amount. Beauty and balance aren't luxuries in Japanese food culture. They're tools for healthy living. Chapter 11. The bento box at school. Perhaps bento culture's most powerful aspect is how it shapes eating habits from childhood. In Japan, school lunches and homemade bento boxes teach children about portions, balance, and food appreciation from their earliest years. Many Japanese children bring bento boxes prepared by their parents to school daily. These aren't random collections of whatever fits in a container. They're carefully composed meals that demonstrate love, care, and nutritional wisdom. Children learn by eating these bentos day after day that a proper meal includes grains, protein, vegetables, and pickles in specific proportions. They internalize what a satisfying, appropriate portion looks like. Even in schools that provide lunch, the meals follow bento principles. School lunch programs in Japan emphasize balance and education. Children learn about seasonal ingredients, traditional preparations, and the importance of finishing everything on their plates. They're taught to appreciate food rather than waste it, to eat a variety of items rather than picking favorites. This early education creates lasting habits. Japanese adults who grew up eating bento lunches don't need to consciously think about portion control or balance. It's intuitive. They've been practicing it since childhood. Their expectations for what constitutes a satisfying meal were shaped when their brains were most malleable. American children, by contrast, often grow up with supersized portions, fast food value meals, and lunchboxes packed with pre-packaged snacks. They learn early that more is better, that satisfaction comes from abundance rather than balance. Reversing these deeply ingrained patterns as adults requires conscious effort and education. The bento box shows that teaching healthy eating habits doesn't require lectures or restrictions. It requires consistent, practical demonstrations of what balanced meals look like. Chapter 12, Hachi Bunme and the Bento. There's a famous Okinawan saying, Hachi Bu or Hachi Bunme, eat until you're 80% full. This practice of mild caloric restriction is credited as one reason Okinawans are among the world's longest-lived people. And the bento box is the perfect vehicle for practicing this principle. The idea of stopping before you're completely full seems counterintuitive in Western culture, where we're taught to clean our plates and where fullness is the goal of eating. But research shows that eating to 80% fullness, about 600 to 800 calories daily for most adults, can extend health span and lifespan while maintaining energy and well-being. The bento box makes Hachi Bunme natural rather than forced. Because bento portions are appropriate rather than excessive, finishing everything in your box leaves you satisfied but not stuffed. Approximately that 80% full feeling. You've eaten a complete, balanced meal. You feel content, but you're not uncomfortable or sluggish. You have energy for the afternoon rather than needing a nap. This contrasts sharply with typical American lunches that often leave people feeling overfull and lethargic. Large restaurant portions, value-sized fast food meals, and the cultural pressure to finish everything on your plate combine to normalize eating well beyond satiation. We've lost touch with what 80% full even feels like. Practicing Hachi Bunme doesn't mean measuring food obsessively or counting calories. It means paying attention to your body's signals and stopping when you feel satisfied rather than stuffed. The bento box's built-in portion control helps you relearn this natural stopping point, and once you relearn it, you can carry that wisdom to any meal, anywhere. Chapter 13. Bringing Bento Principles Home. The beauty of bento culture is that you don't need to be Japanese or live in Japan to benefit from its wisdom. These principles translate remarkably well to American kitchens and lifestyles, with just a few practical adaptations. Start with the container. You can buy authentic Japanese bento boxes online, but any sectioned container between 2.5 and 4 cups in volume works. The key is choosing something that naturally limits portions while allowing you to see all the meal's components at once. Even a simple divided food storage container can serve this purpose. Next, apply the ratio principle. Think of your container in quarters. Fill about 40 to 50% with a whole grain, brown rice, quinoa, farro, or even a small portion of whole grain bread. Use about 25 to 30% for lean protein. Grilled chicken, hard-boiled eggs, beans, tofu, or fish. Fill the remaining space with vegetables, ideally prepared in different ways. Some raw, some cooked, some pickled. For textural variety, don't worry about making everything Japanese. Use familiar ingredients prepared simply. The principles matter more than authentic recipes. Leftover roast chicken works as well as teriyaki salmon. Baby carrots serve the same purpose as simmered daikon. The goal is balance and variety in appropriate portions, not cultural authenticity. Focus on these 3 bento lessons. First, fill your container completely so it looks abundant. Second, include at least 3 different vegetables for variety. Third, add something with strong flavor in a small amount. Pickles, olives, fermented vegetables, or a small serving of hummus. This flavor punch increases satisfaction without adding volume. You can prep components in advance on weekends, storing cooked grains, roasted vegetables, and prepared protein separately, then assembling bentos quickly each morning. Many Japanese families follow this practice too. Chapter 14. The pace of eating beyond what goes into a bento box. How Japanese people eat matters just as much as what they eat. Meals in Japan are typically slower, more social, and accompanied by rituals that encourage mindfulness and appreciation. Before eating, Japanese people say "itadakimasu," roughly meaning, "I humbly receive this food." This simple phrase creates a moment of pause, a conscious transition from whatever you are doing to the act of eating. It's a mindfulness practice disguised as politeness. That momentary acknowledgement helps you eat more attentively. The physical act of eating bento also encourages slower consumption. Chopsticks naturally slow eating pace compared to forks and spoons, allowing satiation signals time to register. The variety of items in a bento means you're constantly shifting between different foods rather than continuously shoveling the same thing into your mouth. Each transition creates a micropause. Japanese culture also views eating as something worthy of focused attention rather than a task to multitask through. While eating at desks isn't uncommon, the act of eating itself remains the primary activity rather than background noise to working. This focus dramatically affects how much you consume and how satisfied you feel. Research consistently shows that eating while distracted, watching TV, working, or scrolling phones, leads to consuming significantly more calories without increased satisfaction. You simply don't register what you've eaten when your attention is elsewhere. The bento box, with its visual appeal and variety, invites attention. It's harder to ignore your food when it's beautiful and diverse. Even in our busy American lives, we can adopt this principle. Turn away from screens for 15 minutes. Put your phone face down. Actually look at what you're eating. This simple shift can reduce overconsumption without changing anything about the food itself. And when you pay attention, the bento's modest portions suddenly feel perfectly sufficient. Chapter 15. Social and Cultural Reinforcement. Individual choices matter, but the broader culture shapes those choices profoundly. In Japan, bento culture isn't something people practice despite their environment. It's reinforced constantly by social norms, practical infrastructure, and shared values. Convenience stores throughout Japan sell beautifully prepared bento boxes at accessible prices, making balanced meals the easy default choice, rather than a difficult special effort. Workplace culture accommodates bento eating with common areas and appropriate lunch breaks. Schools normalize it from childhood. The entire society is structured to support this eating pattern. There's minimal social pressure to overeat. Portions in restaurants tend toward moderate, rather than supersized. Shared meals focus on conversation and enjoyment rather than consumption quantity. Compliments focus on food quality and preparation rather than volume. These subtle but constant cultural messages reinforce appropriate eating habits. American culture sends opposite messages. Larger portions signal better value. All-you-can-eat buffets celebrate unlimited consumption. Restaurant meals routinely serve portions suitable for 2 people, but are plated for 1. We've normalized excess to the point where appropriate portions look stingy. Changing personal habits while swimming against cultural currents requires more effort. This is why understanding bento principles isn't enough. You need strategies to apply them within an American context. Pack your own lunches rather than buying oversized restaurant meals. Use smaller plates at home. Seek restaurants that offer smaller portions or plan to save half for later. These conscious choices help you create your own pro-health microenvironment. The bento box is a tool for individual change, but lasting transformation happens when we also work to shift our cultural norms around food, portions, and what constitutes a satisfying meal. The humble bento box reveals something powerful about staying slim and healthy. It's not about deprivation or complex diets. It's about relearning what our bodies actually need and what genuine satisfaction feels like. Throughout this video, we've explored how bento culture achieves remarkable results through simple principles. Appropriate portions that look abundant. The 3-to-1 ratio balancing grains, protein, and vegetables. Umami-rich foods that satisfy deeply. Temperature and textural variety that keeps your palate engaged. Beautiful presentation that invites mindful eating. Vegetables as essential components rather than afterthoughts. The cleansing contrast of pickled items. Visual harmony through 5 colors. Early education that shapes lifelong habits. The wisdom of eating to 80% fullness. And the cultural infrastructure that makes healthy choices easy rather than difficult. These aren't mysterious secrets or unattainable practices. They're practical habits that anyone can adopt, regardless of where you live or what you grew up eating. You don't need to become Japanese or abandon your favorite foods. You need to embrace balance, variety, and appropriate portions. Principles that the bento box embodies perfectly. The real revelation is that satisfaction doesn't come from eating more. It comes from eating better. More mindfully, more balanced, more beautiful. When you see a completely filled bento box with its colorful array of carefully prepared foods, you're seeing what enough actually looks like. Not restriction, not deprivation, just exactly what you need to feel energized, satisfied, and healthy. Start simple. Choose one principle that resonates with you. Maybe it's using a smaller, compartmentalized container for lunch. Maybe it's adding 3 different vegetables to your meals. Maybe it's pausing before eating to acknowledge your food. Maybe it's eating until you're satisfied rather than stuffed. Small changes compound. The habits you build today shape the health you'll enjoy for decades. Which of these bento principles speaks to you? What's one change you could make this week? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this exploration of Japanese food culture valuable, consider subscribing. We dive into simple, powerful habits like these every week, showing how traditional wisdom applies to modern life. The bento box has been teaching balance and moderation for centuries. Its lessons are as relevant today as they've ever been. Perhaps more so, in a world of supersized portions and mindless eating, the bento offers something precious. A return to appropriate satisfaction, one beautiful meal at a time.